So it is no secret right now that the world is in shambles. And for me personally, I have never felt more out of control. But truly, it has never been easier than it is now to better the world, better the society, give back instead of just taking. So I've taken a couple weeks off of making my typical videos, and it wasn't intentional by any means. It just felt very natural that I wasn't filming and editing and uploading very much. I came to realize it was because I wasn't consuming YouTube at the same rate that I usually do. I found myself being more drawn to educational materials and learning instead of just consuming fluff, you could say. So today's video is a hybrid between how you can make a tangible difference in the world, and that is a word I want to enunciate because change is such an ambiguous term that it sometimes feels impossible onto how to grasp onto something bite-sized, you could say. There's so much to be done, so many big ideas, but how can we break those down into steps we can take on a daily basis to achieve that ultimate goal? Now, that also is my marketing brain speaking. So I created a list of all the things that you can do today to give back, make a difference. It's more than just giving your money, it's a whole wide array, and there's something for everyone. We get painted as a very selfish and egotistic, specifically country, but I think people in their heart of hearts have everyone's best interest. I mean, that's not always the case. I'm trying to quote Anne Frank here and saying that we all have the power to do good, make change. That's my life goal, is how can I leave this world better than when I came? Create sustainable change that outlives me. So before I get too deep and go off on a tangent about how we need to prepare this world for our great-great-grandchildren, let me just hop right into the list because I could easily see myself going down that rabbit hole. The number one tip that I have is so important, and I am the biggest advocate, and it is to donate blood regularly. If you are someone who the thought of needles makes you nauseous, it freaks you out, you don't want someone poking you, taking blood, quite frankly, I don't want to hear it. And obviously, if you are anemic or you have a pre-existing condition that prevents you from donating blood for your own safety, by all means, don't donate. But this is for the people who go based off solely emotion. You gotta look at it bigger picture. One blood donation can potentially save 3 lives. Cancer patients, those suffering from autoimmune diseases, literally need these transfusions to live. If you can take 20 minutes out of your day every 8 weeks, that's how frequently you can donate blood. It's so easy, it is not painful. The worst part is when they prick your finger to test your hemoglobin levels, and it's so cool that your body produces more than enough blood for you, so take it. On that same route, this is a cause very near and dear to my heart, is to join the Be the Match Registry. Living in the US or from Mexico, you can go on to bethematch.org to register to become a blood stem cell donor. In some cases, you would donate bone marrow, and this is to patients suffering from leukemia, any sort of blood cancer or blood disease. A lot of these patients don't have a donor in their family, and so they have to go to the National Registry to find an anonymous donor. The media paints it to be this horrific picture, and I can assure you that is not true. I have spoken with so many donors who said they were back at it again out in the world that same day after their donation, and they would do it again in a heartbeat. It's so easy to join. You literally just order your swab kit online, swab the inside of your cheek, and then you're on the registry till you're 60, unless you match with a patient, which I would love to donate. And also, I just be transparent, I work there, but I would be an advocate for them even if I didn't. Cancer is such a daunting topic that in itself is just synonymous with kind of helplessness, but this is something you can literally save a life and cure someone's cancer. To give someone a second chance at life, the chance to find their cure, their life-saving cure, you can't do better for society. That is the utmost sign of just a good person to literally save a life. This next tip is the last one in terms of bodily donation, you could say, and that is to become a donor when you go to the DMV. This is through LifeSource. It basically says that if you were to die in a car accident, your organs could be donated to a patient in need. I know for a lot of religions and cultures, this goes against their beliefs, and I have full respect for that as well. If you are not a registered donor, basically all it does is on your driver's license, it'll say donor. You can do it through your DMV when you renew your license, or you can go on the health app of your iPhone and fill out the information. Also, you can go on their website. It's super easy to do it, and I encourage everyone to register as a donor. Now going back to a more traditional giving back to society, and that is to just pick a charity or an organization and donate monthly. Obviously, money is a big issue. We're in the middle of a pandemic right now, but if you can afford even every month to give $5 to a cause or a charity that you're passionate about, that is going to add up. And even if you want to pick a new charity every month to donate to, you know, diversify your philanthropy a little bit. This next tip is alluding to what I said at the beginning of the video, and that is to pick an educational movie, documentary, TV show, and watch it once a week. I have been implementing this into my weekly routine now. Before, it was like YouTube every night, trashy TV shows, rom-coms, but at least once a week I watch something educational, something that I take something from, and even if it is a movie that there's a deeper historical message ingrained with it, it's our responsibility to keep learning, to keep evolving. Evaluate your long-term goals and think about how the betterment of society or others fits into them. Let's say your long-term goal is just to be hella rich. Congrats, you're really rich. You're in the upper 1%. How does that benefit others? How are you giving back? How are you sharing your wealth? This can be applicable to the career path you take, your career goals. Maybe your career isn't so much focused on giving back, but you're working a career where you make more, so you can afford to donate more or give back financially to society. I ask myself this almost every day. How are my long-term goals serving others instead of just me? And it's a very humbling thought. There would be nothing more depressing than reaching your goals and realizing the only person they help is yourself. Look into where you're spending your money. Now, this can translate to a bunch of different avenues. Are you supporting businesses that don't treat their employees right, that don't entreat their customers right? I don't feel ethically good when I support like Hobby Lobby or Chick-fil-A. I'm guilty of doing so, I have to say. They're notorious for being anti-gay, anti-LGBTQ. A big motto I live by is put your money where your mouth is. It's a little hypocritical for me to be preaching equality and then I go drop a bunch of coin at Hobby Lobby on stuff that I could have found elsewhere. This can also mean choosing to support smaller businesses and organizations instead of just massive companies like Amazon or Walmart, and really shopping local from family-owned stores or supporting family-owned restaurants instead of just going to McDonald's or Applebee's. Volunteer over voluntourism. Oh, that is just not a pleasant word to pronounce. We've all seen it, the mission trip pictures of people going to third world countries, taking a bunch of pictures and then leaving. That is not, that's not giving back to society. That is plumping up your ego and telling yourself that you're a good person. How can you volunteer in your own community without the intention of trying to make yourself look good or feel good? Volunteer work has become so commercialized and romanticized in terms of, oh, look at me doing good, being good. But you forget about the root of the problem and that there's people's lives and well-being at stake for what you're doing. If you do decide to volunteer and be boots on the ground out there in the community giving back, really humble yourself and realize that this is not about you at all. And if you do think it's about you, then maybe you shouldn't be volunteering. Dedicate yourself to the mission and the cause instead of how can this build up my resume or how can this get me accepted into college. Speak of the devil. Adopt, don't shop. I had to bring in my new child for this one. If you don't know, this is Walter, and I adopted him I think like almost a month ago. I do know that adoption isn't for everyone. I know a lot of people have allergies, so they have to get very specific cats, dogs, or whatever animal. But when it's feasible, always choose adoption over breeders, instead of creating an even greater demand for breeders to just pump out as many new puppies and kittens as possible. Look at what's already available. I'm gonna hold him the rest of the video because it's actually very therapeutic and it makes me want to cry. Be politically active. We cannot afford to be silent. I don't care your age, I don't care where you live. Everyone's voice is just as valuable. This is a huge theme in the Black Lives Matter movement, is that silence is violence. I know a lot of people say, oh, I don't get involved in politics, it's not my thing. That's not an excuse. You have the freedom to make your voice heard, and if you actively choose not to utilize that privilege, it is a sign of just utmost disrespect for all the progress that our country has made in order to grant us that freedom. Support candidates that are truly working to improve society, that have everyone's best interest in mind, not just the rich white people, but everyone. Ask yourself every day, what is one thing I did today that showed someone outside of my family love or kindness? You know, buying the coffee behind you, but it also just could be like smiling at someone. We are so in our bubbles in terms of our problems. We need to remember to show compassion to others, especially those that we don't know. It's not hard. Find one thing you can do to show love to another person, again, without expecting anything in return. And to finish this video off, so important, wear your frickin' mask. I don't want to hear any excuse, none. If healthcare workers can go 12-hour shifts wearing a mask, you can wear one when you go to the grocery store. It actually sickens me that it's such a mundane request, and people think, no, it's an impediment of my freedom. Like, what is wrong with you? I genuinely look at people who refuse to wear masks, and I think, who raised you to be so selfish and centered around what you want instead of what is saving people's lives? Wear your mask when you're in public. It is not hard. If you can't wear a mask, you don't go in public. Okay, thank you. Walter's getting feisty, so I'm gonna go feed him dinner. But I hope you took something from it. I know the world's a daunting place and there's so much to be done, but you know, one man can change the world. Just find a cause that you're passionate about and work towards it, because we can make a difference. So, until next time, peace!